Okay, Miss Linda, I decided I would do a short video on the questions that you had some problems with, and I'll see if this can help you. And then if not, then we'll still try to plan to meet, but hopefully that this will kind of answer some of your questions. I think that it will. So first of all, let's talk about section 1.2, number 12. So the biggest thing is that I want to make sure that you know that on the updated video, so I did an updated video of 1.3, but I also did an updated video of 1.2. And at the end of that, I go over number 12. And I go over it in pretty good detail. So I want to make sure that you have viewed that updated video in Canvas. And so I looked in WebAssign, and it looks like that your version of this particular problem is n equals to 6. So I want to make sure that you understand what they are asking. So this is exactly what your square would look like. So what they are asking you to do, anyway, if you go into Canvas into module 2 or week 2, and you go into that 1.2 updated video, around the 38-minute mark, that's where you're going to find the number 12 explained. And so that's how I want you to go back and look at this. Um, and so they're asking you to come up with the total number of squares. And so this is what n equals to 6. It means that you have 6 columns and 6 rows. So this is what your square starts out looking like. So I think that from the text messages and from your messages, I think that that's maybe where you're getting tripped up, is that you're having a hard time visualizing it because of those dotted lines in the image. But this is what your square looks like. Okay, this is what your whole big square looks like. And so what they're wanting to know is how many total squares does your square at with n equal that has 6 total columns and 6 total rows. So a perfect square, how many squares does it have total? Now, keep in mind, so that a square, so so like this is a square, right? So you have 36 of those. So you have 36 of those. But then you also have you also have 2 by 2 squares. So like however many of these 2 by 2 squares you could make, you have to count those. Okay. And then you also have a 3 by 3 square, however many of these 3 by 3 squares you could make, and however many 4 by 4 squares, and however many 5 by 5 squares. So that's why this gets tricky, and it's a tricky problem. So that's why you need to go back to this video, go around the 38-minute mark, and it will teach you. That's why I go over how to figure out how to do that mathematically, because that will drive you crazy trying to figure that out. Okay, I did go into WebAssign. You have one more try. All right, one more try. Now, one other thing that I want to tell you, because I read it in your last text message, is that I know that you are worried about your GPA. And I want to encourage you to not stress. Okay, you cannot do this to yourself. I want you to try your very hardest. Right now, you have, I mean, you have like almost a perfect grade, and you cannot try to have like a 100 on every single assignment. That is going to kill you in this class. So I want you to aim for understanding, and not for perfection. Okay. Give yourself some grace and just know that this is a very, very different class than all of the rest of your classes, and that it's okay that you may not have like a perfect score on everything, and that is going to be okay. So I want you to tell yourself that it's okay. All right. So it's going to be okay. In the end, an A is an A B is a B. All of these things are okay. All right. And we'll talk more about that. But I don't want you to stress yourself out over having a perfect grade. Okay. So God is not calling you to perfection here. All right. And I think that you are pushing yourself to perfection. And so I don't want you to do that. I am asking you to try your hardest, and I already know that you're doing that. And so I see the work that you are putting into this. You are learning a lot, and you have learned leaps and bounds in 2 weeks. And so that's all that can be asked and required of you. And so I want you to give yourself some grace on some of these things because you are doing an amazing job, and I want you to give yourself that credit. Okay, so all right, now that's my pep talk. Okay, now let's go on to section 1.3, number 10 and 11. So these problems are going to be calculator problems that are a little tricky, but we'll work through these. Okay, so on number 10, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work each one of these out over here off to the side. And so 6 times 10 to the negative 3. So if you think about that, I'm going to write 6. Now, because this is 10 to the negative 3, that means that that's a small number. So here's where my decimal point is right now. I'm going to move my decimal point. Because this is a negative, I know that it's a small number. So if I were going to make this a small number, I would move this to the left. So I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3. So there's my number, 0.006. So I'm going to write that down here, 0.006. Okay. Now, 9 with 7, 10 times, 9 times 10 to the 7th. That is a very big number. That's 9 with 7 zeros because you have 9. Here's your decimal point, and you're going to move it out 7 times. So we're going to move it out 7 times. So that's 9 with 7 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Then on the bottom, I have 3 times 10 to the 9th. That is a huge number. So that's going to be 3 times 10 to the 9th would be 3 with 9 zeros. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, now I'm going to try to share my screen. So let me see. Sharing your screen will close the whiteboard for everyone. So I'm going to share my screen and then I'm going to pull up my calculator. And okay, so now I have, so hopefully you can see my calculator. All right, so on this calculator, what we're going to do is we're going to do the numerator, which was, let me clear all of this out. So we're going to say 0.006 times, and then 9 with 7 zeros. 9 with 7 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, So let me count again because I did this wrong with somebody else. All right, so 0.006, 0.006, and then 9 with 7 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, and so I'm going to hit equals. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and divide that, and I'm going to divide that by my denominator, which my denominator is 3 with 9 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I get this, which is 0.000, so 3 zeros and 1 8. Okay, so 0.00018. All right, so now let's go back to our whiteboard. Okay, so we have 0.000. So we have 0. Oh, I don't like that color. Let me get rid of that. I like pretty colors. I liked that green color. Let me see, can I make it go back to green? Green. Okay. 0 point. So I had 3 zeros, 0, 0, 0, 1, 8. Now you have to put this into scientific notation. So, and this is where it gets tricky again, because sometimes that gets a little hard. Remember, we have to move our decimal place till we get to a base number between 1 and 10. So we're going to move our decimal place 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Okay, so that's 1.8 times 10. Now, all right, so this is that first box, 1.8. And I think you had that correct, maybe. Now, up here, I want you to think about, this is a very small number, right? If it's a very small number, is your exponent going to be positive or negative? The very small numbers, your exponent is going to be negative, right? How many times did you move the decimal place? You moved your decimal place 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is how many times you moved your decimal place. Okay, so that would be your answer. Okay. All right. Now, so that's 10B. Now, number 11 is going to be very similar. And here's what we're going to have to do. And what I want you to do, because I'm not sure why it won't let me pull my calculator up on top of this. But I need you to write this down. Okay, so if you need to pause the video and have this problem written down. Okay, so have this written down and then have your calculator pulled up, because I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to have the calculator. All right, so what we have here is 3, 3, 2, and then we have 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 zeros. So let me write that down. That's 11 zeros. And then we have 0.1, 2, 3, 4 zeros there. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do, so what I'm going to show you is that what we're going to do is we've got to figure out this number in the numerator, and then we've got to figure out this number in the denominator. And then we're going to divide them, but we have to figure out those two separately. Okay, so let's figure those two separately, and then we'll come back and figure out what that is. All right, So let's share that screen. And, oh, wait, let's see. Hold on. Oh, I thought it would. I was getting this funny message, but it won't let me do what I want. All right, so we're going to share the calculator. All right, so let's clear that out. Okay, so we're going to do the numerator first. So 0.0224 times, oh no, wait, sorry, that's the wrong problem. Don't do that one. Okay, 3, 2, and then 11 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, let me make sure. I have 3, 2, 0, 0, and then 3 sets of that. Yep. Then that times 0.12341. So let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, and I'm going to hit enter. All right, so now you need to write that down. So that's going to be 32 with 6 zeros. That's our new numerator. Okay. And then our denominator is going to be 40 times 0.0002. 40 times 0.3 zeros and a 2. Okay, so that's divided by 0.008. Okay, so you got that written down? So that's our denominator. All right, so now then we are going to divide that. And so I'm going to go ahead and divide that so I don't have to come back to the screen. So I'm going to say 32 with 6 zeros divided by 0.008. So that would be 4 with 9 zeros. Okay. 4 with 9 zeros. And that's my answer. 4 with 9 zeros. Okay, so let's go back to the whiteboard. Okay, so what I got here when I went and I did this numerator, let me go select my pen. Oh my goodness, I don't know why they take away. Why can't they save my pen? Okay. When I did my numerator and I did this really long number times this 0.00001, I got 32 with 6 zeros. Okay. And then I did my denominator and I got 0.008. All right. Then when I did that, I got 4 with 9 zeros. All right. Now to put it into WebAssign, they want it in scientific notation. So to put it into scientific notation, here's our decimal place. We're going to move this to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to move it 9 times, right? So this would be 4 times 10 to what power? So is this a big number or a little number? It's a huge number, right? So should I expect this to be a positive exponent or a negative exponent? Since it's a huge number, this should be a positive exponent. So how many times did I move my decimal point? I moved it 9 times. So that's what goes there. So the answer is 4 times 10 to the 9. Okay. Now you have an 11B, and 11B works exactly the same way with different numbers. Like this will work exactly the same way with small numbers as it does with big numbers. You do the numerator, you do the denominator, you divide them, and then you put it back into scientific notation. So I want you to work through that. Okay, hopefully this will clear up some of these questions that you have on some of these problems and help you to feel a little bit better about them. Don't stress out, okay? Just work your hardest. You're doing great. You're going to do fine in the class, I promise. Okay, you just keep plugging away at it. You're going to do fine. Give yourself some grace. And I'm very proud of the work that you're doing. Send me a message and let me know how you're doing on this. And hopefully this will help you out some. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.